My husband's work wife proposed to him. My husband has a work wife. They are friends who go out to lunch often and tease each other and talk about some personal things. She brings him homemade lunches sometimes and he's brought her leftover desserts that I made. It didn't bother me at first, but it feels like she has a connection to him that I don't. To make matters worse, she proposed to him to make their work relationship work official. She playfully feels like he's not a real work husband if they don't have an actual work wedding. He thinks it's hilarious, and their manager said it's a fine excuse to throw a party out of their pizza party funds. They throw celebratory parties somewhat often when they ship a product or land a big client. The parties are usually a few grand in food and drinks and entertainment. His company is a dream come true, but I think him and his friend are taking this too far. He was planning on wearing his normal work clothes to the wedding, but there's rumors she's going to wear her wedding dress from her failed marriage. She's been divorced for 5 years. What should I do? I told him this is ridiculous, but he keeps talking me down. I'm considering showing up to respectfully voice my concerns during the, if anyone has objections, part of the ceremony. His coworkers know me from the last Christmas party and the time I had to bring him a clean pair of pants, so I know they'd let me into the party. It's in the middle of the day, so I'd need to take time off work, but if I can stop their marriage, maybe I can save mine. I'm good friends with my guy friend at work. I'm also considerate of his wife. This is way too far. And the term work wife is insulting to the wife. Tell him his office is going to celebrate his real divorce if he doesn't cool it right now. It'll be a good excuse to throw a pizza party. This is not normal or acceptable. People joke about work spouses when it comes to people who work really well together and complement each other in the professional field. That's whatever. But honestly, bringing each other lunch, dessert, going out to lunch, etc. is crossing the line. It could be that your husband is taking it lightly, but it seems like she is seriously obsessed with him. The fact that he is disregarding your feelings about it makes it that much worse. My ex had a work wife. I was it, she came to my house, I went to hers. I cuddled her children, they ended up having an affair. Stop it now that you can. I'd show up with divorce papers. He's not listening to you. Well put. This sounds like a skit from The Office. This is the weirdest thing I've read in a while. The fact that your husband isn't listening to how you feel about this is very concerning. Is your husband a fucking idiot? How would he react if it was you carrying on like this? They both sound like a pair of dipshits, TBH. Dipshit is underused. This sounds like the skit where the guy has a work wife and work kid and went on a work honeymoon. Love Viva la Dirt League. https://youtube.be/foam_q4h7cac?C equals ojfen4 pgkcav0nk. Okay, I was like, that's actually kind of funny and fun, assuming it's a total joke masquerading as a pizza party, until I read about the wedding dress flushed. That's unhinged. Like single white female level creepy. Also, the fact that you don't like it should have been enough for him. I don't think you should take off work and attend the ceremony, because that's a lot of conflict that shouldn't be on you to begin with. But you have every right to be mad, silly as the wedding idea is, he's street. Ill not considering your feelings, and that's not okay at all. Please keep us updated. Show up at the wedding and beat the shit out of her to assert dominance, then make hubby repeat his vows in front of everyone. Problem solved. Don't worry, honey. It's just work sex. Hun, you're exaggerating and taking this too far. It's just work sex. What in the fuck? Sorry you're dealing with this. I think you have every right to tell him this has gone too far and you are uncomfortable. As a man who was uncomfortable with people calling my, much younger, coworker my, work wife, and put a stop to it by speaking up. Your husband is a huge asshole and needs to put a stop to this. NTA. Say this, I know this might be a silly joke to you, but it is crossing a boundary for me. This isn't a matter of me not getting a joke. It's me being uncomfortable with a relationship you have with another, single, woman. It's both of our responsibilities to prioritize our relationship over other relationships, even friendships, and this is one of those moments where you need to step up to the plate and be on my side. Something like that. My wife and I both work in finance, banking, and sneer at the use of work wife, work husband. It's a place where you come to work, collect a paycheck, and go home. A place of work is not a place where you need to be bringing feelings up, joking about work spouses, and doing work marriages. This is the office version of gender reveal parties. It's stupid. I have had several work wives of both genders over the years that my real wife and I have joked about at home and in the company of the person. What you are describing is just plain weird. I suspect your husband is a really nice guy and this has been a frog-boiling episode for him, but if she shows up in a wedding dress, that's got stage 5 clinger written all over it. You should play along, and when their vows are said and they ask if anyone should disagree, stand up and give a long and embarrassing speech why the bride should not take his hand. So she is not miserable in her life as you are. Establish a stronger work relationship with his boss. This is too much. You need to sit him down and let him know that this is taking it too far and makes you uncomfortable. Regardless of what is right and wrong, this is probably the most useful comment, as others don't matter, only how uncomfortable you are. Call HR on this home wrecking bitch. This is the way. Definitely call HR as a concerned party, and make them put a stop to these shenanigans. It's wildly inappropriate. Can you find a hot, work husband, workout husband, fireman husband? See how he likes it. Bro, WTF? This is wild and not appropriate for work or for someone in a relationship. She can easily turn around and sue the blazes out of the company for a litany of things. Let HR and legal get wind of this. I would seriously advise your dear hubby to step far back from ledge before he ends up under the corporate broom when they decide to sweep this mess up. My spouse's employer would escort longtime staff right out the door, no questions asked, just for forwarding an offensive joke email. You husband's boss doesn't care if he has an affair. Ask why he is continuing to be disrespectful to your relationship and not shutting this shit down. Greater than, but if I can stop their marriage, maybe I can save mine. If he's at the point of doing something like this, you probably can't save your marriage. I don't think she's a work wife. I think she's an AP wannabe. Hope you don't have kids. This is SOOO disrespectful to you, his IRL wife. She is stroking his ego, and something else, or plans to be stroking something else of his soon. You need to tell him FAFO. Again, so much disrespect. He is stroking his ego, you deserve her better. Sorry about the end of your marriage. Edit, did he shit himself at the last party? For whatever reason you had to bring him clean pants, that is a sign. Take it, he is waving a red flag at you. WTF does his employee company do that? All of this seems okay? She is actually infatuated with your husband and trying to take him from you. Girl. Straight to jail. Your husband is sick in the head if he thinks that's appropriate at all. Incredibly disrespectful. I cannot stand this work wife and work husband bullshit that everybody keeps talking about these days. You're at work to fucking work. It is fucking ridiculous and so disrespectful and gross. Your husband is a fucking dick. That's all I can say. Shame on him. Could this be something brought up to HRBC? It sounds so work inappropriate, and no respecting company should have employees that do this kind of circus during work hours. We are all in agreement. Shut this shit down, get him to pull his head out of his ass. Who even thinks of this shit? Let alone actually doing it? Forget that, oh it's innocent, you're just being insecure, BS. You need a very real and very honest talk with this man. He needs to get his priorities straight. Can't even imagine what my spouse would be thinking with some joke like this. P.S. Show him this post. If nothing happens or he shoots you down. This isn't normal or funny. I know people don't like it sometimes when their partner posts on something like Reddit for advice, but I think that shows even in itself how real and important this issue is to you. Do not back down, op. Best of luck to you. That chick is crazy, your husband is a dumbass, and this is 100% disrespectful to you and your marriage. This ends up as a threesome or a divorce. He's going to work consummate that marriage. Emotional affair in public with the support of people around you in crazy LMAO. Jim and Pam kind of thing. I say, let it happen and start moving out. He's already committed to it and doesn't take you seriously when you voice your concerns. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And I sure wouldn't tolerate it. Are they going to have a videographer, a photographer, a reception, a honeymoon? That's why too far. Update me. Well crap. I've got to start reading the flares. Tell him that while he's at work you'll have a house husband. And don't come home early and surprise them. This is super weird and I would leave him because he's probably cheating. What? People do this? I'd have the divorce papers outlined before I felt the need to tell the internet about it. Fuck. Work weddings, savagely. No, real people don't do this. This is just incredibly creepy. Emotional affair for sure, and to me I would count as cheating with massive potential to get worse. My best friend's husband had a work spouse. They are living together now with a kid. My friend found out they were having an affair and asked him for a divorce. And yeah. To that person who commented maybe make him lunches. My best friend did everything for him. The girl he's with now? He's eating instant noodles and Spam. When there's fresh meat available and willing, it won't matter if you do everything for them. That's pretty weird. What's next? Work wedding night, work honeymoon, work kids, etc. And all the office workers and boss are okay with this? That's just impossible even in a story. Agree. That sounds very unlikely, unless OP's husband works for a cult. The terms, work wife, work partner, shouldn't exist because it's a really fucking weird way to call your work friends or your work female friend your work wife. Seems like your husband is having an emotional affair with that woman. No. Is he going to kiss the work bride? Is he going to consummate the work marriage? How is any of this HR appropriate? Hopefully they don't get work divorced, because that can get messy with work custody of the work kids and splitting work assets. Especially who gets to keep the cubicle after the breakup. I'm glad this post is marked as fiction, but for anybody who thinks it's real, let me warn you. My soon-to-be ex-husband legit left me for his work wife. This kind of work culture isn't healthy for relationships. Yes, this is ridiculous. What is next? Work wife honeymoon, work wife kids. Then work wife turns into real wife and he divorces the original wife. It's an affair. Either emotional, physical, or both. The whole work wife thing is corny and cringe. Not professional and overall weird. I would definitely rip on my wife as I was in this situation. Whatever happened to just being work friends? This is flirty and gross. Fuck them lol. I had a work wife for about 10 years, Sally, and I hit it off right away after I hired her. I was her boss. She and I were married to different people, but our relationship was intense. Office gossip was intense, but we just continued to ignore the warnings. Our bonding was on a soulmate level. We spent hours together for years and each of us agreed to never cross the line. No physical contact, knowing that would end in disaster for our marriages and careers. We shared everything, supported each other. There, even our spouses understood we were the best of friends. It came time for me to retire and I stayed for 2 more years because I couldn't bear the thought of not seeing her after I retired. We would text like crazy and I would meet her for lunch or just chat in the parking lot where we worked. It was this point that my wife told me it was hurting our relationship. She was feeling like she was in second place in my heart. My defense was we are just good friends and no need to worry. Sally W. Old defend our relationship with her husband the same way. Nothing physical had ever happened or ever would, we just were emotionally attached. My daughter set me straight. You are having an emotional affair. All the energy and emotion you are giving Sally should be going to Mom. I couldn't deny that. I realized I had replaced my wife with an attachment to a woman at work. I told Sally that and she became defensive. We are only friends. No one should have to give up a friend just because Hey are the opposite sex. I so wanted to agree with her, but my daughter was right. I was having an emotional affair all these years and it was time to end it. Sally and I still text every couple of months just to say hi and remember how great it was working together. My wife gets my full attention now. We've been married 56 years. I thank her for tolerating the work-wife situation for so long. She said she understood it and was just waiting for me to understand it. So glad I married this woman. It's amazing to see someone have some self-reflection and fix the issue. Too many stories on Reddit show the opposite. I'm happy for you. My daughter's advice was an eye-opener. I've thanked her many times. I'd have divorced papers served in front of everyone he works with during this work wedding. This whole work wedding is too weird to be innocent. Where the fuck is his HR department? I'd leave and let her have him. This is freaking weird. I would do more than go to this fake wedding to object. This is not cool. At all. As a wife of a professional, I would be pissed. Incredibly disrespectful to you. Do you have a work husband? This is fucking cringe behavior and he's entertaining it. That alone would turn me all the way off. Sorry, you're dealing with this bullshit. You should pay a friend to deliver fake divorce papers during the ceremony. Do the whole op husbands here? You've just been severed divorce papers, good luck man, you're gonna need it. People are so fucking weird. You should tell him you're off if he marries his work wife. He's a fool. This seems like an HR nightmare and I would tell husband that if he didn't call the shit off and validate your concerns that you'd be all too happy going to HR as a concerned, actual wife. If he persisted, she would be his only wife, work or not. I see you saw the funny hilarious YouTube video with the English comedy work wife skit. This is a literal rip-off of it. Work wife wants work dick. JFC, these people obviously don't have enough work to do. Show up with a baby real or fake and tearfully ask him when he's coming home. Because it's all in fun, right? People who are married shouldn't be calling another person work wife, work husband. It's like asking for trouble. I'll be damned if my so did that to me. Made my skin crawl reading this. Yuck. It's beyond disrespectful and inappropriate. She's playing out some fantasy of a work marriage, at the possible detriment of your very real marriage. He needs to shut this down immediately. If he refuses to do so, that would have me questioning where his loyalty actually lies. Guys, this is tagged fiction, don't get too worked up lol. Yep. Def go. I'd kick my husband's ass. Is this one of those jobs where people don't do work? As a husband myself, this is ridiculous, not funny, and inappropriate. Your husband should be embarrassed to act like this but lacks the self-awareness to see it. This is hurtful. Unacceptable. He owes you an apology. Deleted. Y'all, it's a fiction tag. That being said, I'm here for the eventual work pregnancy. How would work children play out? Does the work location have in-house daycare? Oh, this is ridiculous. Go, and when they say, does anyone have any objections? Go up and say yes, he is still married, but I can remedy that and hand him divorce papers. Say, here sign these, then you won't have to keep up this ridiculous charade anymore. Then walk out. I believe my dear you have husband problem. Why do men and women thinks this is normal? It's not because they always end up cheating on real wife. Husband, you better tell him if he does this, then you're done. Pretty soon, they'll have work, sex in the closet if they haven't already. Imagine how cute the work kids will be smiling face. Emotional cheating? Show him that other post of the guy that shut down his coworker who kept calling him work husband, LMAO. Your husband is a moron. This is a no-go. I'm retired, but had a work wife for years. It was always completely professional and we would never do such a thing. Ironically, my wife probably would be fine with it, because she trusted my work wife and myself, but neither of us would disrespect our spouses like that. I hope he recognizes how hurtful this is to his marriage. I understand having close work friends, but this seems like the work wife has watched too many sitcoms and thinks she'll be Pam to his Jim. No one's fucked more people than just a friend. Childish behavior. When did this work spouse crap become a thing? Yeah, big no from me. My husband would never disrespect me like this. How would he feel if you married a hot work husband? UPDATEME. What the fuck? Nonsense. Please step away from the keyboard. Are they going to have a work honeymoon and work consummate the marriage too? Oh hell no. I'd be showing up to that party with a shirt that says real wife, he's mine. Although if I have to fight for a man, I don't want him. Your husband is an absolute awe for not putting a stop to this. Fucking gross. I'd be worried about more than friendship. To me, this seems very gross, disrespectful and so odd. I would definitely explain how this made me feel, and how weird it is. It's like getting married in the playground at school, but fully grown-ass adults. So weird, I would definitely be on my way out of this relationship if that was my husband. I'm sad The Office never had an episode with a script like this. I hope this is fake because the things you ladies put up with is crazy. My son joked around about his work wife for about 6 months. Then he cheated on his real wife with her, and left his wife shortly thereafter. Now he's married to the work wife for real. So believe me when I say there is a real danger that this could be something more serious. If your marriage were a ship, it would be taking on water. Up to you to run the pumps or abandon ship. Dang, I have been watching a lot of boat videos lately. Still feels like a good metaphor though. To me, he's having an emotional affair which is still wrong. He needs to put a stop to this right away. If he doesn't, you might want to rethink things. I would sit down and have a private chat with him about it to start. I had a whole comment written out, then I saw the fiction flare. Hand him divorce papers so he's available to get married again in the first place. Fuck no. WTH. Stop this shit. She's after your husband. If he balks, tell him you will call his boss and say you won't tolerate being disrespected and it's not funny. Nah, I would have nipped this in the bud. Scene 2 May affairs start with the work wife, hubby. Louder. Work wife? What the fuck are you talking about? On what world is this okay? Is this bizarro world? I'd shut this down so fast. The first time I hear hubby calling her his work wife, we would have had words. That would have been the end of it, or he would be free to marry her for real. I don't play games. Hell to the no. It is creepy, inappropriate, and I'm guessing an HR nightmare. It's also immature. What in the hell kind of company is this, and what is wrong with their supervisors? I'd be telling him, unless you want a real divorce, then you don't need a fake work wife. The idea that it's okay to have a work spouse is ridiculous. This is a place of business and not a social club. Being a work friend is fine, but no one needs a work wife or husband for that matter. This is very close to cheating and can only lead to trouble at home and work. Your husband knows that you don't approve and is gaslighting you. He knows this is cheating but loves the attention. Greater than and their manager said it's a fine excuse to throw a party out of their pizza party funds. Something tells me this is a very small business with 0 HR professionals on the payroll. You clearly have a problem with this. Voice that to your husband and tell him you're not okay with his coworker and manager grooming him to have an affair. As someone who's not American, I'm Australian. We don't have the concept of work wives here, and to be honest, every time I've heard it mentioned, exclusively on Reddit by Americans, It just sounds really creepy and weird, a product of A. People feeling the need to label others unnecessarily, and B. Them trying to justify really inappropriate behavior with said label, and then pretending it's all a big joke. Almost every story I've heard involving a work wife ends up with her trying to get into the guy's pants and being really bullying and inappropriate to the person he's actually married to. And the whole thing smacks of insecurity, high school mean girl behavior, and the idea that men and women can never work together or be friends without it getting sexual. Seriously, who thinks like this? With all this said, you have a right to feel weird about this woman and your husband's behavior. I would be seriously considering whether he's someone you want to be with. He sounds really immature. If he's not listening to you in general, and speaking down to you, then he doesn't respect you. I think you deserve better. Pack a couple of suitcases and have them at the door. Tell him it's for his work honeymoon and don't bother coming back. Then go to his work and decorate his car. Assholes just got work married. Walk away. Was too weird. Wait a minute, are we simply going to skip asterisk? I had to bring him a clean pair of pants. Thank you. That's the part that made me come to the comments. Here are the divorce papers, honey. Now your work wife can be your real life wife. Pack your shiz and get out. https://youtube.be/foam_q4h7cac. Work wife meets real wife. This is so weird, WTF? This bitch is so disrespectful. This is incredibly disrespectful and likely already an emotional affair. Tell your husband you are joining Bumble just seeking friendship to find a workday husband. You want a relationship like he has with her. Lunches, inside jokes, someone to make food for, just someone to share your deepest thoughts to. You know, like dating but with no sex. He'll have zero issue with that because he's already doing the same thing. Your husband sounds like a massive creep, and once you get the ick, if you haven't already, there will be no coming back because you'll have lost all respect for him. Tell him you'll stay somewhere else the night of his wedding. It's his wedding night after all, and he probably doesn't want you around. You'll be out interviewing work husbands that night. The other option is to just be real with him. Tell him that even though he's too much for a coward to protect and prioritize your marriage, you're not. Tell him you'll go to his office and have a chat with his homewrecker since he's too afraid to, and you really hope he doesn't get fired. Since he can't protect you, you'll protect yourself. Work wives, work husbands are so cringe. I don't get it. Don't you need spaces from your spouses, so work should be a no-spouse zone? Everyone just glossing over the clean pants line like whatever. I think they may be having an emotional affair because this is weird as fuck tbh. IDK, any man who would be taking this seriously, but YK, maybe he's goofy? IDK, it just doesn't sit well with me. Work wife, I've heard. Work wife proposal is going way too far in my opinion. At first I was appalled by what I was reading, but then saw the flare open mouth smile. I can't take this seriously because it sounds like you have a toddler who's about to get fake married in the playground. Are we really talking about a grown man super flirting with a colleague? Lol. Simple fix, get yourself a workout husband, have a workout wedding and have workout babies. See how he likes it. Tell him, work wedding equals real divorce. Is this a larger company? No way should management condone this kind of silliness. The whole work wife, husband stuff is just weird and disrespectful to your real partner emo. Your vows matter. Your husband is blatantly disrespecting you in a public manner. Have some self-respect and give the ultimatum. I am suffering secondhand embarrassment from reading this. Do you know where the work honeymoon is taking place? It already happened. They went to Fiji, it was lovely. Now they are getting a work mortgage and a 3-bedroom work home for their soon-to-be-born work baby. I can't stand that, work wife, work husband, crap. That's just crossing lines there that shouldn't be crossed. Sure, I get it, it's funny in games, but at any moment it can become too serious. Especially when it's a work setting, one of them will end up having a serious work divorce and HR will be stuck in the middle of it. You're creating a dynamic that has no place at work. Soon the work wife or husband is getting special treatment. It's just bad. I side with you 100%. He needs to get his it together and decide what's really important in life. Lol. Funny AF. Not for you though. Well, at least you'll have a new sister wife. What the hell is wrong with you? Keep talking yourself into thinking it's a joke and let's see where it ends up. Wake up, lady. I'd be getting an attorney right about now. Your post reminds me of this hilarious video about work wives. https://www.youtube.com/watch?v=foam_q4h7cac https://www.youtube.com/watch?v=foam_q4h7cac. I would be livid. Sounds like they're playing house at work and the company is condoning inappropriate behavior. A husband here. Sorry, but your husband sounds like a piece of shit if he doesn't realize how ridiculous and childish this is. Sound a little more than friends to me. Hope you kick his ass into gear because it's wrong on a lot of levels. Dumbest shit I have ever read. First thing, don't go. Don't go. Please. If he doesn't respect the fact that you're not comfortable with this, maybe it's time you consider leaving him. The reality is, you choose to stay in a marriage with this guy and he doesn't seem to give a shit at all about how you feel. To be honest, this would probably bother me a little. What is shocking to me is that the workplace endorses this behavior. At my previous workplace, workers that had affairs that caused damage were usually fired. So what do they do on the work wedding honeymoon? How is management okay with this? Why is anyone okay with this? What? This is so fucking extremely weird. If your husband can't understand how him playing romantic with a coworker would bother his actual wife, then you need to see a couples therapist and he might need one for himself. If the idea of being romantic with someone and marrying them is a joke to him, then maybe he feels the same way about his real marriage. This relationship is highly inappropriate, and his work should either have an HR department that can dispel this kind of behavior, or they nay. Ed to clean house and get a new HR department. If your husband can't understand how him playing romantic with a coworker would bother his actual wife, then you need to see a couples therapist and he might need one for himself. ***. That shit needs to be in bold. I will Reddit marry you in retaliation if you'd like. I'm a guy and that's bullshit. Having a coworker as a work wife is fucking stupid. I get it, you're friends, help each other at work etc., but this is too far. Way too fucking far. This screams emotional affair. 9 months later, a work child. You need a work side piece. No, this is fucked. Go along with the work wedding, go to the party and be the person who interrupts the wedding with a shocking revelation. He can't marry her, because he's ready married to me. That's a good, funny, drama-free one. This is just beyond inappropriate and weird as hell. I'm guessing if you had a work husband and did this, he would not be too happy. If he is talking you down, then he is acting more like that other woman's husband than yours. Since they work together and she is obviously infatuated, in love with him, it can't get nipped in the bud unless your husband grows a pair and creates boundaries. But honestly, if he wanted to, he would. Instead of showing up at the wedding, have divorce papers messengered to him by a law firm in front of his company. NTA, they're all whacked. This is not normal, it's weird. They're going RO have an affair, if it didn't start already. That is next level odd. She has a crush on your husband and everybody seems to be encouraging it. Your husband is being a complete disrespectful fool. This obviously isn't a game to her, she's trying to start an emotional affair with your husband and he's not shutting it down. He's just respecting you and your relationship, and you should ask him if he'd like a divorce so he can marry his wife for real. Tell him if he goes through with this party, this wedding, you're done and you're out. This full score, the husband is totally disrespectful to the wife. She should ask him when is he moving out? Show up, act drunk and object during the ceremony. Do it. Cause a scene and update us. Tears of joy. Oh hell no. You need to put your foot down. Tell him this is beyond reasonable. It's disrespectful and steps on major boundaries of yours. If he still insists, then tell him you may have to insist on a real divorce. WTAF? This is over the top disrespectful. This is weird. Sometimes, if you calmly look directly into your spouse's face and say, "You're losing me," it can have an effect. But you must be truly serious. This is fucking weird. No way I would ever have a work spouse. The whole concept of work husband, wife is 80s sitcom stupid and childish. Tell your husband in no uncertain terms that this is unacceptable. Tell him, if you get married at work, you will get divorced here. Why? Because there is emotional attachment going on in the relationship, and he is encouraging it to grow and blossom. One day, that work marriage will end up in work bed and a possible work child. Nope, run. This is far beyond normal. If they were strictly just friends, I'd understand the bringing each other food every once in a while. But then again, this stopped being normal the second they called each other work spouses. I have no doubt she has malicious motives. Although, it is even more questionable and weird that the coworkers are apparently supportive enough to go along with it. Honestly, I'm sorry this is happening to you, and just know that your feelings are 100% valid here. If the roles were reversed, he'd be just as equally upset. I'd say just make sure there is no officiant eyes. I would like to say just kidding, but it seems anything is possible at this point. I had a work husband, but it never went this far. We cared about each other. We talked about our partners and asked how they were doing. This lady lacks boundaries and isn't considering your feelings. I had women try to do this possessive stuff with my husband, and I call them out every time. It's not appropriate. The way this works is to make you feel uncomfortable so that you are the boring one, so they don't have to acknowledge how inappropriate this is. I even heard one woman say, she'll get over it, so these people lack a level of awareness. I would talk to her directly. She needs to go find a man that's available. I feel like people that do this find a safe person to get close to. So they either never really have to get really close or they fantasize about having your life. It's creepy. Y'all are fucking wild. My wife would kill me if I had a work wife, and rightfully so. This is weird and completely disrespectful. This is super weird. This is stupid, immature and ridiculous. Why is my question, would your husband think this is appropriate unless something more is going on between them, like an emotional affair at the very least? How disrespectful to you. Giphy. 6XQMs Fay JQ7L0QEZ4Q. Deleted. How is this person lacking empathy? I was airheaded, it's a story fiction, lol, didn't read that part, ha 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 ha. What are you talking about? Lol, IDK, it's a story. Rolling on the floor laughing, rolling on the floor laughing, rolling on the floor laughing, I'm so airheaded, ha ha ha. This whole situation is batshit. No. To all of it. Look at this man with all seriousness and tell him to cut it the fuck out. Sounds like straight out of The Office, lol. Tell him this is a hard boundary. It's gross and extremely disrespectful to you and your marriage. He wouldn't be happy if you had a work husband and had an office marriage. If I was you, I'd show up and serve him with divorce papers and tell her she can have him. He obviously either thrives on the attention and doesn't care about your feelings and marriage, or there's something more going on. Neither of those options is good. Either way, I wouldn't be sticking around for the circus. You can. And will find someone who loves and respects you. He ain't it. WTF did I just read? If this is even remotely true, it hasn't been okay for a long time. Far out. I pray this is a shit post. But the truth is probably dude has found a way to cheat without having to hide it that hard. Get a home husband and tell your husband you have to make it official by him coming over while your husband's at work every day. Sit your husband down and tell him to make his choice. You or work wife. Doubtful this is his first flirting encounter or his last. Don't blame the woman, it's easier to shoot the horse than a different rider every week. That's weird AF. As a guy who is married and who gets hit on by women often, my wife's words actually, I would shut that shit down in the most direct and clear way.